Hello all, welcome back to the weekend recap after we were treated to some great matches this weekend, and you guys will be treated to some great content this week as I have a big explainer on the whole Paul Pogba witch doctor extortion payment situation. That's coming this week, as well as the return of the Champions League and Champions League watch-alongs. It's going to be great. I have to go to wedding number 2 of the wedding season after United versus Arsenal went down. Able to film prior, obviously, but just so you guys know, we're going to be relying heavily on editor Adrian. I'm here to take in the matches after the fact that I missed while I was at the wedding. Another brilliant Iago Aspas display saw him lead his Celta side over Cadiz this weekend. 2 goals from the Spanish attacker sandwiched an Oscar Rodriguez strike as Celta turned it up in the second half for their second win of the season. Barcelona have done one better as they got their 3rd consecutive victory to take their unbeaten record to 3 wins and a draw, this weekend defeating none other but Sevilla at the Sanchez Pizjuan. The doom I spoke of Sevilla and their incoming season, thus far they have lived up to that as they truly looked poor once again, granted. Following to this brilliant Barca side, I mean, they won't be the first notable team to do so this season, but they just looked so abject at times, where Barcelona looked brilliant. It must have stung further to see Jules Koundé, their former defender, play a part in not 1 but 2 goals. He got 2 assists. The first was a bit more impressive, just a bit, as Koundé showed off the vision and passing from deep that he possesses at the Sanchez Pizjuan, where they were already accustomed to seeing that, of course, with Lewandowski controlling on the chest to smash past Bono. Solid performance from Koundé, and 5 goals in 4 appearances for Lewandowski. Barca's first was from Rafinha, by the way, where Dembele had his scooped finish past Bono cleared off of the line. Rafinha was there to nod it in. 3-0 Barca, great performance, but it could have been far worse with the opportunities they were generating. Probably should have been more, but at that scoreline, you're grasping at straws if you're trying to criticize their performance. Real Madrid welcomed Real Betis, and in the midfield watch, we saw Tchouaméni start and Tchouaméni thrive. Camavinga started, didn't do too poorly, but didn't shine as Modric and Tchouaméni did in that midfield for Real Madrid. But in the attack, business as usual, with David Alaba playing a stunning ball over the top from the back, just as Koundé did, with Vini latching on and lifting it over a stranded Rui Silva in goal, while Betis hit back through former Real Madrid player Sergio Canales. Great setup from Borja Iglesias, showing up that hold-up play. Real Madrid did come through in the end. Tchouaméni actually came close to a goal. Massive save from Silva, however, but they eventually got the winner when Valverde cut it back to Rodrigo. 2-1 the final for Real Madrid. Atletico Madrid did not look very good as they played away to Real Sociedad, and it was Morata who opened the scoring for Atleti. Bit of a strange one as the defenders made a mess of the clearance from a corner, and Morata was there to pounce after just 5 minutes. It took until the second half for Sociedad to get level, with Umar Sadiq, a new signing, coming on to level things. Atleti did have a goal called back for a handball in the build-up, but overall a disappointing display from them. 1-1. Now, how did Valencia and Villarreal look today? Editor Adrian, we need you.
So yes, Daddy Emery is still doing a fantastic job in La Liga. 4 games in, they have 3 wins and 1 draw, this time beating Elche 4-0. That's a huge scoreline. I'm interested to see if Unai Emery can actually keep Villarreal winning, keep them consistent in La Liga, because typically it falls by the wayside partway through the season. And we don't want to see that, right? We want to see Villarreal challenging for that top 4. So they got that big win, 4-0. Then we had Valencia destroying Getafe 5-1. Valencia looking very good under Gattuso in this match. After losing 2 matches in a row, they finally get back to their winning ways. It's 2 wins and 2 losses for Valencia. As we look at the scores and the standings, Real Madrid are at the very top of the table, the tippity top. 4 wins from 4 there. Barcelona, Villarreal, Betis, and Osasuna right on their heels, and not so much Betis and Osasuna right on their heels. Close enough though, within touching distance. I can't speak right now.
No doubt the Derby de la Madonnina was the matchup of the weekend across all leagues. 2 massive title contenders going head to head, one having been written off by most as far as defending their title, one favored to the extreme to win it all, that being Inter. Marcelo Brozovic, of all people, was played through the heart of Milan's defense to convert a real striker's goal past Magnan to give Inter a 1-0 lead after 21 minutes, and Inter looked fine for a few minutes following that until Hakan Çalhanoğlu, against his former side, gave a pass away in his own end, leading the ball eventually coming to Rafael Leão, and he hit it through Handanovic. Leão hasn't looked like himself thus far this season, but he's certainly found his feet in this match in particular. Leão went on to set up Giroud in the second half, and the French striker's guided finish was just out of reach for Handanovic. Great finish from him. And those two linked once again, Giroud patting the ball down for Leão later on, who took on two defenders and managed to open his body enough to bend it around Handanovic for 3-1. AC Milan then had to put up with massive push from Inter, Mike Maignan proving further that he should be talked about as one of the top shot stoppers in the world. The saves on Lautaro and Çalhanoğlu were stunning. Milan hold on for a 3-2 win. Dzeko made it interesting, but Milan with the character win as they begin to find some form following a slower start to the season. Juventus versus Fiorentina. Once again, Maxi Allegri just cannot get it right for this Juve side. In my Champions League predictions, I voiced this, and apparently voicing that Juve don't look as good as they could, given the players at their disposal, that's seen as disrespectful by some, but it's just a fact, man. Juve absolutely stink under Allegri going forward and are capable of so much better. I mean, 1 shot on target from 4 attempts across the entire match. They didn't have a single attempt in the second half, as Fiorentina dominated them. Vincenzo Italiano, he's destined for a top side, perhaps even destined to take over for Juve at some point. And his Fiorentina side, despite not being able to spend like top clubs, play some great football. And if it wasn't for a failed penalty conversion from Jovic, probably would have defeated Juve on the day. Lucky 1-1. Good of Eric Milik to get a goal in Vlahovic's stead for Juve. Napoli didn't have their most excellent performance of the season away to Lazio, but it was always expected to be a difficult match for them. But 2 of their signings continue to shine in Kvara and Kim, both grabbing goals. Kim looking like a giant alongside Rachmani in defense. So good together, while Kvara continues to be a nuisance in the attack. He's on 4 goals and 1 assist already from his first 5 matches. An Arnautovic brace gave Bologna a 2-2 draw away to Spezia as Bologna remain without a win thus far in Serie A. And for the rest of the matches from Sunday, we'll throw it to editor Adrian.
Whew. That was my impression of Mourinho this morning. I'm sure that's how he feels. Following that Udinese baptism. Udinese, what's going on, man? You guys are looking incredible all of a sudden. 4-0 over AS Roma. Roma looking limp out there. 1-0 down at the half. And then they suffered 3 further goals in that second half. Big disaster, and they're no longer at the top of the table. That is Napoli, followed by Milan. Atalanta, I mean, they could go top of the table if they win today against Monza. And then you have Roma, Juve, and Inter in 5, 6, and 7.
For the second match day running, Bayern Munich have dropped points. After being held by Borussia Mönchengladbach last week, they were held by the mighty Union Berlin this past weekend. Come on, Union. Bayern dominant, but not clinical enough away to Union. Both goals coming in the first 15 minutes as Geraldo Becker and Kimmich struck for their respective sides. 1 won the final between those two. Bayer Leverkusen's poor start continues as they were beaten at home by Streich in Freiburg. 3-2 there. Japanese striker Ritsu Don making the difference as he came on as a sub and provided the death blow to Leverkusen in the 72nd minute. Callum Hudson-Odoi got his debut and got an assist for a goal from Patrick Schick. That's a plus, but Leverkusen, man. 1 win and 4 losses. It's quite puzzling how poor they've been this season. And that's just in the Bundesliga. It's 1 win and 5 losses if you count the Pokal. Speaking of which, the same could be said of Leipzig as they were torched by Eintracht Frankfurt after such a great start to his Leipzig career last season in taking over for Jesse Marsch. Tedesco's Leipzig have been an incredible disappointment thus far, while Eintracht Frankfurt are continuing to excel under Oliver Glasner. 4-0 Frankfurt in this one. Randall Muani shining again as he got 2 assists in the first half. Daichi Kamada, another goal for Frankfurt. Wish that Benfica had gotten that deal over the line for Kamada, but that's okay. There are indeed whispers that Leipzig won't rest on their laurels as they did when things were going poorly for Jesse Marsch. Perhaps they could be forced into a decision soon if things continue to fail under Tedesco. Rosa back with Red Bull, Hutter back with the Red Bull side, we'll see. Werder Bremen have enjoyed a lovely return to the top flight, and that continued this weekend with their 2-0 win away to Bochum, a match they absolutely have to win if they have any hopes of surviving, which thus far are looking pretty good, aren't they? 2 late goals in the 86th and 92nd minute respectively, which also translates to Bochum having lost each of their opening 5 matches, the worst record by far, but it's still early. Köln smashed Wolfsburg 4-2 away as Niko Kovac apparently still has a ton of work to do in order to get this floundering Wolfsburg side thriving again. It's crazy how far they have fallen since that Oliver Glasner season, no? They were flying then, now Frankfurt are flying under Glasner, so shout out to him. Anyway, Köln have looked good this season and a masterclass from Kainz brought them the victory. 1 goal and 2 assists for Kainz as Köln manager Steffen Baumgart will be delighted with how his team have started the season. 2 wins and 3 draws. And with Mainz beating Gladbach 1-0 away, we look to the scores and standings to see Freiburg and Dortmund on top. After Dortmund, who I forgot to speak about, edged out Hoffenheim 1-0 on Friday. Bayern are circling, as are Union, right in the mix as always. Getting it out of the way so we don't get bogged down as we run through the Premier League matches, VAR the use of such was pretty disgraceful this past weekend, wasn't it? You had McAllister's insane strike wiped out for a marginal offside that didn't make a difference to the play in the slightest. You had West Ham's horribly disallowed goal. You had Van Dijk avoiding and sending off somehow. I mean, VAR was determined to suck this weekend, and it did, so shout out to VAR in England. You guys blew it, especially that McAllister goal in a sense, as that one was anti-football. Nice to hear that the Premier League is reviewing VAR usage now, as they clearly don't use it properly in this league. So Chelsea can count themselves lucky as one of the benefactors of poor VAR decisions as they edged West Ham at Stamford Bridge when they thought Havertz had given them the win in the 88th, which he did in the end. West Ham supporters will have thought that Cornet had given West Ham an equalizer, but no, VAR called it back for a Bowen quote-unquote foul. That's in massive quotation marks. 2-1 Chelsea the final, a very lucky result in the end. Everton and Liverpool played out a 0-0 draw in what was a frustrating one for Liverpool, but well played from Everton. Connor Cody had a goal disallowed as his offside awareness could be a little bit sharper when tucking in a squared ball at the back post. We'll give him a break there though. It's not often he's in that position. Liverpool, plenty of work in generating chances. They hit the woodwork a few times. Guys like Nunez and Diaz forced big saves out of Pickford, who was man of the match for sure. Salah had 1 go off the post. Frustrating, but still just not good enough from Liverpool. Their injury list is crazy, I agree, and that definitely plays a role, but you'd still expect them to overcome this Everton side. It's just not clicking right now. Go on Brentford, they continue to excel as they trashed Jesse Marsch's press merchants 5-2 this weekend, with that guy Ivan Toney grabbing a hat-trick while Jesse Marsch had to grab a seat in the stands as he was sent away early in this one. Oh, and VAR played a role in Newcastle versus Crystal Palace as well, as Mitchell shoved a Newcastle player into his own keeper, but also managed to turn the ball into his own goal. The goal was disallowed as it was deemed to be a foul on the keeper from Willock, not seeing how his own defender shoved Willock into Guaita in the Palace goal. It's just ridiculous. It should have stood, but 0-0. Battle of the newly promoted sides as Nottingham Forest, brand new team, were beaten 3-2 by Bournemouth, the side who was baptized by Liverpool 9-0 of late. What makes it worse? Forest had a 2-0 lead, only to throw it away in the second half. Goals from Billing, Solanke, and Antony spurred the Cherries' comeback under Gary O'Neill, who, of course, replaced Scott Parker. Aston Villa and Manchester City played out a fun one, though Villa will feel hard done by, given the goal that was disallowed, thanks to the ref being a little eager on the whistle, perhaps. 1-1 there with Haaland and Bailey, the scorers. Haaland on 10 from 6 now. Bailey powering that cutback past Ederson. This genuinely could have been a loss for City. Funny match for Richarlison as Tottenham beat Fulham 2-1 this weekend. He grabbed an assist in what he thought was a goal at the death to make it 3-1. It ended 2-1. Ripping his shirt off in celebration, only to get carded and the goal disallowed. For the troll that he is, it's funny to see that happen to Richarlison. Nothing fatal, just a yellow and some embarrassment. Hey, it's all good, man. Brighton are Barcelona 2011. Not quite, but my goodness are they ever a joy to watch, aren't they? For all their good play, they have some bite finally. 5-2 over the piss-poor Leicester. What a struggle this season will be for Leicester as Potter's boys, McAllister, Gross, Trossard, Caicedo, etc. were cooking against Leicester. That free kick from McAllister, great performance from Brighton. Long may they continue so that further people can join the Church of Potter, because the Church of Potter is the Church of Truth. Wolves also overcame Southampton as Wolves' shiny new toy Mateus Nunez was behind the game-winning goal. What a coup he could be. Brilliant player. And hey, Diego Costa might be signing with Wolves. That's interesting. In Manchester United versus Arsenal, we saw Antony start right away for United down the right-hand side, and we saw Martinelli score in the first 15 minutes down the left-hand side. That was called back though, and rightfully so, I'd say, I guess, as Odegaard fouled Eriksen to cause a turnover of possession in the midfield to start that attacking move by Arsenal. Technically the correct call, an entirely different debate as to whether we want intervention for these calls that can be so heavily debated. Clear and obvious, that aspect has been taken out of the referee's decision making when it comes to VAR, from only used when it's a clear and obvious mistake to simply default to the VAR call. That's the issue. It's not VAR, it's the clowns using it. Anyway, it was clear that the wings were where Arsenal would find the most joy, and that was no exception. Whether attacking Dalot or Malacia, they had an easy way down the pitch to start, namely on Malacia's side as he was exposed over and over again. But Antony was a problem, wasn't he? As he exposed Arsenal's left side. He immediately looked comfortable, and on 35 minutes, Rashford played him through and he curled it around Ramsdale. Zinchenko and Gabriel completely losing Antony, but a calm finish from the Brazilian on his debut. Questions asked of Ramsdale. Weak effort from him, but I mean, it was good from Antony and United as well. Saka provided an equalizer for Arsenal as his side looked dominant in the early opening moments of that second half, while Ronaldo provided a clear boost to United when he came off of the bench as well. The boost didn't last that long, but there was a lift when he came on the pitch. That said, it was Rashford who gave United the lead from a brilliant Bruno Fernandes through ball. Bit of a deflection to help it over Ramsdale, but a nice attacking movement nonetheless from United. However, many questions must be asked of Arteta as well, and Arsenal's willingness to play a high line and allow United to slap them on the counter. It works against lesser teams, but they did it once again, and Rashford scored yet another goal. Good work from Ronaldo in the build-up, unselfish ball from Christian Eriksen to square to Rashford, 3-1 there. Again though, the high line, begging to get torched by United, who are looking increasingly dangerous in transition under Ten Hag. Arsenal face their toughest opponent of the season yet, and they crumble. United, meanwhile, after getting embarrassed in a couple of matches to start the season, they've started to turn things around. Great additions with Casemiro and Antony following all the backlash, only one of which has started a match, and they'll continue to get better. Big reaction from the board. Again though, it was reactionary from them this window, only spending when things looked really poor. What that will say for the future, we don't know. Will things change? We don't know. But in the here and now, it's looking promising. As we look at the scores and standings, Arsenal are still top despite the loss, and they are no longer perfect, while United sit just outside of the top 4. Okay, that's it. As I said, off to a wedding now, but thanks for joining me here yet again after that 1-week hiatus. I'm Adrian, this is Rabona TV, and do stick around for the rest of the week. All right, ciao.